Hello, and welcome to the Adventures in Arting podcast. My name is Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, and I've been hosting this podcast with my super special co-host and my mom, Eileen Shoe Balzer, since 2012. Hi, Mom.
Hello, Julie.
So, on this podcast, our goal is to help you develop and maintain a thriving art practice. Now, an art practice is a framework, which we talked about in our last podcast. And much like a garden trellis, you use your art practice framework to help your artwork grow in a particular direction. And if you love the podcast and you want to go deeper, I hope you'll check out the wonderful community at myartpractice.com, where our motto is create, connect, and thrive. MyArtPractice.com is a membership site that offers early and mid-career artists community and art education. So I have to tell you, today I posted on the message board, or maybe it was yesterday, a graphic because I was trying to think. My art practice is a little bit of a fire hose. There's so much content and there's so much going on that it gets a little bit unwieldy to explain because it's more than like art education. It's more than an online community. It's more, and it's anyway. So I shared a graphic and I said, you guys, does this feel accurate? Does it feel helpful? Would you add anything? And people gave me some fantastic uh not corrections, I guess, or suggestions, but I wanted to read you this one thing that somebody said on the message board that I thought was really great. She does a much better job describing it than I ever could. She said, I have joined other memberships in the past and I compared them to this one. The other memberships, even well intentioned, are about teaching, while my art practice is about learning. The focus is on us, the learners. For example, we can use hashtags for our posts and bookmark what we like. This is unique, as is the community and the multiple ways we can communicate with and help each other through private messages, small support groups, posts with feedback, or without. So many different ways and venues that we, the learners, can use. The events fit into this support system very well and are often a highlight for me, shedding a better light on how to process all the information in the core curriculum and the art foundations. I wholeheartedly agree with Donna. The coaching you provide is invaluable, as are the Q&A sessions and the office hours. So your graphic helps me put words onto what I've been experiencing in the last few months. But to do so, I actually envisioned a graphic in a circular format with the learner in the center.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because she just put it so well that I think like I had created sort of a hierarchy chart to kind of show what everything was kind of in a line with like, columns coming down. And so I redid it to become a circular chart with the learner at the center, which is exactly what it is, which is exactly my intention, but I couldn't visualize it the way that she explained it until I did. So that was super helpful. And it really does explain to me so much about all the ways in which I've built my art practice. Even has the my in it to be about the learner, not about me as the teacher, not about any of that stuff, but about you being able to get all these different things out of it. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, if you want to join my art practice and be at the center of everything, you can sign up for the wait list so you don't miss out when membership opens at the end of June. So today, this is episode 169, which I have titled, Who Are You? And mom asked what that meant. And so I started to explain to her. So basically, recently I noticed a trend in my coaching clients, and this could be a fake trend or it could be a real trend out in the world that my clients are sort of reflecting. But I've been helping a lot of people with websites, social media, and artist statements, and all those things. We've been boiling back down again and again to the question of, who are you? Or maybe more accurately, who do you want people to think you are? Right? How are you presenting yourself to the public? So I came up with, it will not surprise you, a framework, but some a way for us to hang on to this. And it really boils down to three parts, which is who you are, what you offer, and why people should stick around. Now, even if you are thinking, Julie, why do I need this? I just make art for fun. You need this because this is your Instagram bio. This is telling a person at church what you do. This is talking to your partner about if they're giving you a hard time about buying art supplies. This is talking to your children about why you made them a handmade gift. This is your artist statement. It's your marketing materials. So whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, you need to know, who are you? Okay.
Can
So
I just
these
say
are,
something?
yeah,
I think it's the mission statement of your social media presence. It doesn't have to be all of you. It doesn't have to be your life story. It doesn't have to even be 100% uh, what you do, because you do lots of things and you are deep. But there has to be a reason why, when I'm scrolling through the phone or whatever, why I would stop, read your post, and then bookmark you for the future, because I have to see how it relates to my interests.
yes, and I want to scream out so many that things that you said from the rafters. This is not all of you. You are deep, just like you said, but this is a slice of who you are. And you have to make decisions. Like, is being a mom central to who I am in my art career, or is it a side thing? Is being a wife or a daughter or whatever else it is, like, how are you defining yourself? So, what I've done is for each of these three sections, again, who you are, what you offer, and why they should stick around, I've developed a quick set of questions that you can go through. They're not really quick, to be frank. It's going to take you a while to plow through it. There's some deep questions, but they're quick to read. But a set of questions that you can ask yourself, and then I have some examples using myself so that you can see that even once you do the answers, you can play around and have a lot of latitude depending on, are you using it for something professional? Is it in your LinkedIn bio? That's different than your Instagram bio. Is it something that you're submitting to a show, or is it something you're telling somebody when you're selling your craft somewhere? You can think about how you want to use it. Okay. So, who you are, the more formal and fancy way of saying it is your identity, voice, and values. Like mom said, it's part of a mission statement, and you would do this for an organization as well, right? So, some questions to ask yourself. What roles or titles best describe me? Are you an artist, an educator, a crafter, an experimenter, a mom? I see a lot of people, who put in their bio where they live, or they're a dog mom, or whatever else it is. What are the things that describe you or that you want people to know about you?
Are you a hoarder of art supplies?
Yes. That could be, that is, I am in fact deep, because that is a deep part of me. What kinds of creative work do I love doing most? So, mixed media art does not define everything that I do. Neither does painting, printmaking, and collage art. Because I do other things too, but it doesn't have to. Are you mostly a knitter? Are you mostly a quilter? Are you mostly an art supply buyer? Whatever the creative work that is that you do. What mediums or tools do I gravitate toward? How do I want people to feel when they engage with me or my work? And a lot of that is tone. Like, do you want people to feel that you are approachable? Do you want people to feel that you are an authority on art, that you have a lot of knowledge? Do you want people to feel like emotionally touched by your work? Whatever it is, think about those things. What experience or background shape how I see the world or make art? You may have grown up in one country and moved to another, and that transition is a lot about what you make art about. You might have one leg, and that has defined it, or whatever it is that may have changed how you see the world or make art. And I would say that's one of the reasons, for example, that I do talk about my son and being a mother, because it has changed the way that I see the world and I make art irrevocably and absolutely. And so I cannot see how I can separate that. However, not being unkind to my husband, but being a wife didn't really change how I feel about the world or my work. It's lovely, and I'm delighted to be his wife, but it didn't change my sense of identity. For someone else, it might have, and that might be why they talk about that and why that's important to them. But it didn't change my art the way that, and the same way I would say to my mother, I love you very much, but being a daughter has not defined me. I know. It just is. It is
I'm
what it
through.
is. I know that your Instagram bio, if you had one, would say Julie's mom, right? Because that's a defining characteristic.
Ask your brother.
I know it says Matthew's mom. Okay. So the other thing to think about is what personal values show up in my creative process. You know, Are you religious? Are you someone who talks about the environment and environmental impact? You work with recycled materials? Do you have a political agenda? Whatever that is that part of your work? And then also, what's something people often say about me and my work? Do people tell you that your work is playful, witty, uh, busy? I get that one a lot. Or whatever else. Like, what people tell you about your work is probably true, and it's great to have that outside perspective. And this whole section of who you are is where your personality and backstory come in. It should be warm and real and, true to who you are. So here are some examples. I've done 4 styles. One is professional and friendly. So I'll do that one first. Let's see if I can read it in a professional and friendly voice. I'm Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, an artist, educator, and creative encourager with a passion for helping people reconnect with their creativity through process-based art. It's who I am. It's, some of what I do there, right? Artistic and reflective. So you'll see let's see if I can make my voice sound fancier. I'm a mixed media artist drawn to the rhythms of sketchbooks, walks by the river, and the quiet magic of the creative process. My work often explores motherhood, growth, and everyday beauty. Then more casual.
Yeah, that
Hi.
last one is almost Tinder-esque. Long walks on the beach.
It's more in like a woo-woo kind of
Yeah,
artist, like somebody who might like intuitive art and a connection with nature and that kind of.
curling up by the fire with a good novel. Yes,
If
I
you
get it.
like my Oh, it's pina coladas, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you like pina
That could be, I
coladas.
love Caribbean islands.
So this is more casual. Hi, I'm Julie. I make messes, teach classes, and believe art is for everyone, especially when it's imperfect, playful, and personal. Chatty, right? And then sort of identity focused or creative identity focused, I said, I'm a working artist who blends design, color, and intuition to explore themes of nature, memory, and motherhood. And I love showing others how to do the same. This is all the same person, but it's again, how do you want to come across? Which is the one that makes you feel like that's how you come across? Now, Mom, you know me very well. Which of these feels like the most me?
Actually, the third one, I make messes and so on
Mhm.
because you're not usually pompous about your work. You're not usually that, I mean, that's the one that I would say, oh, Julie wrote this because it's fun, it's lighthearted, but I wouldn't, send that in as your uh when you're submitting a work of art, let's say to an exhibit,
Right.
but it does sound like the way I think of you, which is to say you you're not all the time you're not all the time selling yourself.
Yeah.
And
To
you're
me, yeah, that feels like my blog bio. Like
yeah,
if
and
you come to
actually
my blog, you'd
one of
see
the
that.
things that was very good about your blog, I think, was that you wrote it in your own voice. You wrote it as you would have said it. And I think people responded to that.
Yes, I will always be grateful for my blog for making me, my gosh, a faster writer. When I first started writing blog posts, it would take me days to write one post. And then when I started posting every day, I could crank them out. Not that you wouldn't call me with the grammar mistakes the next day, but I got really fast at writing and like thinking through. And also, it helped me so much with teaching because I learned what kinds of questions people had and also had to really think about how to explain things. It reminds me a little bit, this is again such a tangent, but again, if you're on your own podcast, if you can't take a tangent, there was a TikTok video that I loved back when I used to watch TikTok videos with a dad who said to his kids, write instructions for me on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it was like 400 drafts in because put the peanut butter on the bread. So he would take the container of peanut butter and put the container of peanut butter on the bag of bread And then they would make these faces and they'd go back. Then they'd write, open the peanut butter jar, scoop out some peanut butter and put it on the bread. So then he would open the peanut butter jar, he would take a spoon and scoop out some peanut butter, and then he would put the spoon and the peanut butter again on the bag of bread. So then they would go back. And like it kept going. And like writing instructions is really hard. And it makes you really think about what could people miss along the way. And so my blog really helped me figure so much that out because I had to do that day after day after day.
So that at the end of making the peanut butter sandwich, they don't end up with like three screws that they don't know where they go. The
Yes.
the old IKEA assembly thing. The other thing is people are not usually so precise because they make assumptions about leap leaps of
Right. Good
understanding.
or bad, which is why I often find that instructions also involve not only what to do, but what not to do. Like you have to say, do not tighten, place the knob on, but do not tighten, to make sure that they understand that that's coming later. Okay, so the next section of our framework is what you offer. This is sort of the tangible and intangible things that you give to others. So again, it doesn't mean you're selling your work. It could mean that people are going to get a laugh or connect with you or feel happy or be politically informed or whatever it is. Okay. So ask yourself, what am I actually making, teaching, or sharing? I think a lot of times people get aspirational and it's what they wish was happening or what they think could happen. But I think it's better to be practical. Like, what are you actually doing? You
When
know,
we're finished, you will have a perfect scale model of the Taj Mahal.
Well, I'm thinking even like if you put in, let's say, I know I keep using Instagram bio because it's really a shorthand for a way that I think a lot of people share, but if you say, in your Facebook bio that you're a knitter, and I see that and I'm like, "Oh, I love knitting. I'll follow this person." And then everything you post is like personal posts about your family or a potluck you went to or travel photos, then that's not actually what you're sharing. Like, this is my personal diary of my life and I love to knit would be a more accurate
Mhm.
representation of what you're offering. You
But
do
can
love to
she
knit.
knit the Taj Mahal?
That's true. Maybe after having been to it, she could knit bomb it. Or is it called yarn bombing when you knit a sweater for like a tree? I think it's
You're
called yarn
asking a
bombing.
non-knitter.
Yes, I think it's called yarn bombing. So, um, I can't even remember my train of thought. Oh yeah. So think about what you actually post. It is true that you're a knitter, but what you're actually offering is photos from your life and snippets from your life, right? Who is it for? Is this for other artists? Is this for you are looking for buyers for your work? Is this for your friends? Is it for people who like ants, like whatever it is, and you can find creative ways to explore it. This is for curious explorers. This is for people who are busy moms. This is for people who are beginner artists, like be specific. And then think about how does it help them? So there can be tangible ways like it teaches them or it encourages consistency, it inspires them, but it could also be, I'm showing my real life as opposed to a
Mhm.
perfectly clean house. Doesn't that help you? I'm telling true stories from the front lines of motherhood, or you know what I mean? You want to know what it is that's helping them.
I
What
would
problem?
say
Yeah.
it's like certain people like formal pictures,
Hmm.
beautifully composed pictures, architectural digest living rooms in which not a thing is out of place. And then some people like informal, candid shots, and there's a mess on the kitchen counter, but that's your kitchen.
Yeah. And I think you have to find again, there is no right way, but it's the right way for you. So the more that you're aware of who you are and what you offer, the easier it is to say that. Like I'm never somebody who wants very modern, clean line art is never going to come to me. It's like they like what they like, and I make what I make, and they just are not going to meet, and that's fine.
It
But you
doesn't mean
want to
you
be
don't
clear.
like their kind of art.
It doesn't mean I don't like it. I
Right,
just don't make it. I don't make
right.
it. Okay, so what problems does it solve, or what dream does it support? Or again, this is the whole thing of Are you the kind of person who says you can live this incredible farm life where you wear a puffy sleeve dress in the fields with your 7 children who are all clean and your beautiful kitchen and you hand make bread, right? That is that is the dream that it supports. But it could also be I have, 2 children and no time, and this is how you microwave an old piece of bread to make it taste good so your kid shuts up. That's a problem that you just solved, and both types are needed. What formats do I use? So, do you teach online classes? Do you write blog posts? Do you have original art for sale? Are you a photographer and a painter? Like, what are you doing? What kind of transformation can someone expect from working with me or following me, bringing joy to your life, changing the way that you look at kitchen sinks forever? What are you inviting people to do with whatever it is that you offer? Are you saying, like, join my newsletter, do this? So you want to focus on what it is and why it matters, you know? So here are some examples because this can be, I think this is actually the hardest thing is figuring out what you offer to other people. Because even if you say, I teach classes, okay, you and millions of other people. So what, right? What is the benefit to anyone from taking a class with you? And it's interesting. I was writing a list of adjectives today about things that people could get out of their experience in my art practice, and I suddenly realized I had left off all sorts of things that were true and important, like laugh, you know? And I think you have to think about what are some of the things that make you unique. I'm never going to be super serious. I'm always going to be silly. I'm going to sing my way through things. I'm going to make jokes. I love that my classes are full of people's laughter and that we spend a lot of time, you know what I mean, enjoying ourselves and not just focused on getting it right or learning. That's an important core value. And I want to say that that's a benefit of taking a class with me is that you will have a good time.
The other day,
Beat you
you
up.
had a
Yeah.
conversation with someone. You were trying to convince them to maybe join the board of an organization. You were
Hmm.
recruiting them. And I liked the way you presented it to them because you said, so let me tell you what's in it for you and what's in it for me if you join this board. And I thought that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah. 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 Because I think you have to, like, at all times, any good relationship, everybody gets something out of it. You know, I get taking care of my child 24/7. I actually get an enormous amount of joy, pleasure, excitement, all sorts of things out of it. And he gets to be alive. So, those are, I think, the tangible goods we exchange. And he has a good time. Okay, so here's some example using me. So this is going to be first clear and practical. So this is like the basic. I offer online classes, community support, and creative resources that help artists make more art with less pressure, right? So then more emotional a little bit. Although it's not like I don't mean emotional woo. I mean, I'm trying to think how to describe this. It's about more of like an aspiration here. So through videos, live sessions, and hands-on prompts, I help artists build a sustainable art practice that fits into real life, not just perfect studio days. Then something that's more playful, and that really focuses on like community aspects is I run a vibrant online art community where we paint, collage, experiment, and cheer each other on. No gatekeeping, no perfection required. And then something that really focuses on like the mentorship that I offer is whether you're stuck, starting over, or just want someone to walk beside you creatively, I offer tools and support to keep you making. And again, I'm the same person. I offer the same exact things in all of this. It's just how I talk about it. And you
I
can
would
do the
add
same
talking
thing.
to that too, to keep you talking and making, because I think one of the community aspects that's really important, which people who have joined my art practice have mentioned, is they love all the uh, possibility of different kinds of interaction with other artists.
Yes, that is so true. I have to tell you, I this is like one of those things that I think a lot of people have said. You start a business because you think of of something, a need that you have maybe, and how to fill it. And
Right.
then it sort of evolves with time as the users tell you what they really need. And I knew that I wanted to start this thing about an art practice and work through it. And it had the community aspects of it have just blown up. And I hadn't realized before there was a community all the ways in which that would change everything. And it really has. It's been really exciting to see.
I will say I am impressed by the fact that after you started this,
Yeah.
members started making suggestions to you of things that would be nice. Not, you know, not in an authoritarian way, but just, gee, it would be great to have this, or and you did it.
Yeah. Well, I try not to have an ego about it. Like, this isn't, I wanted to create something that would help people skip past a lot of the steps that it took me, and that would be like a real hub where I guess that what I wanted to find like a creative home for people. And I think that if I made it all about me and my ego, then it's not a creative home for other people. It's a creative home for me, acting as like Lord ruler of something. But I wanted it to be something that everybody felt good about. And the suggestions were great. People are smart. Like, that's the thing. I always want to be in a room with really smart, creative people. So I would often try to find how can I make this work and fit in, any suggestion that felt like it was a really good idea. Okay, so why they should stick around, the who is the they. But yes, this basically is like your special sauce. What makes you worth following, buying from, learning with, whatever it is that you want people to do. Sign up for your newsletter. So you should ask yourself these questions. What makes my work or approach different? And I have to say, this is a hard question, but I remembered long, long ago, so long ago, I hardly know when. I don't know why that Cole Porter song just flew through my head, but anyway, so I remember long, long ago sitting with my friend Natalie and talking about, she was writing a scrapbooker's bio for something, I can't remember, maybe a magazine. And we were talking about, how is your work different? There are lots of different people at that time who were doing like painted page scrapbooking or mixed media scrapbooking. So how is yours different? And those difference words are the things you want to use, not the things that are the same with everybody else, because you want to find a way to stand out. So also think about, what consistent value do you provide? Inspiration, education, entertainment, emotional connection. I have to tell you, there's a woman in my art practice who posts on her private social page like beautiful nature photos, so many of them. And it isn't really, she doesn't post any of that stuff in my art practice. She's more making collages and that kind of stuff. But that's obviously what inspires her. And I find a lot of value every day in these beautiful nature photos. And I think you can think about that. What is it that you're providing to people that they want? What do I believe that sets me apart? Why would someone come back tomorrow or next month? How do I connect with people beyond the surface? Do you answer comments? Do you answer questions? Do you share things? What results or reactions have people had after engaging with my work? Do people say, I was moved, I was touched, I was bored, or whatever it is? What am I building? Are you building a community, a movement, a practice, a body of work, a group of fans? What is it that you're doing? You want to speak to people's emotions, their hopes, their curiosities, their longings to make something meaningful. This is the argument for why you matter, basically. And this is hard because you have to dig deep, and you have to believe that you are worth it. You have to believe that you are worth it. And I'm going to tell you that even if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't post anything that's interesting, I'm not worth it. You are worth it. You are worth it. Why do you make art if you're not worth it? Because you make art to express how you feel, which is important. And the way that you make it is unique, and who you are is unique, and your perspective is unique, and you are worth it. And you just need to put it into words. Okay. So here's the warm and welcoming version for me. If you want to make more art, feel less stuck, and have fun along the way, you're in the right place, right? That's what they're getting out of it, why they should follow, problem I'm solving, and how they're going to feel about it. I'm never going to say to someone, come and make art with me, and you'll leave uh, knowing everything there is to know about representational painting. That's not what you come to me for, right? And so I try to find the things that you do come to me for, right? So here's the clear value add. So I share free tutorials, behind the scenes process videos, creative prompts, and honest thoughts about the ups and downs of art life. That's really something I would put on my blog, right? That's why you should follow my blog. So here is something that I would use maybe for my art practice.
By the way, it's important if you say that you have some of the downs. I can't stand it when every day is a glory, every day is a glorious sunrise
Yeah,
followed by, hot biscuits from the oven. It just isn't real.
maybe it is real for some people, but it's
It's
not for me.
true.
But it's true. I think the number of blog posts that I have about failures, rejections, things that didn't go well, they're hard to write about, but it's true that it happens to all of us. I might say about my art practice, what's the value of that? This is a space for artists who care more about showing up than showing off, where process matters more than perfection. So if that's something you're looking for, that might resonate. But if it's not, then you're not the right person. You don't have to appeal to everyone, just to the right person. Um, so how about long-term growth focused? I might say my art practice is about helping you build a lifelong creative practice, one that grows with you, supports your voice, and brings you joy. So that's again the investment issue. Why would I invest this money in doing this? Because this is a lifelong creative practice. It's going to do all these things for you. So
That
if
might be the
you,
good dating one.
right? If you clarify these three elements, it just becomes so much easier to write everything. So it comes easier to talk about your work because all of these things, whether it's website copy, social bios, email newsletters, about pages, artist statements, course or product descriptions, talking about your work, your online shop, your Etsy description, all of this pulls from the same core message. Just tune to the platform, the audience, the style that you want to write in, and all that kind of stuff. And you can take these three parts and stack them together to create a little bio. So I wrote a little bio for myself just based on these three categories, just stacking them together. So here is one version of what it could be. Hi, I'm Julie Fei-Fan Balzer, mixed media artist, educator, and lifelong sketchbook enthusiast. I help people build a joyful, sustainable art practice through online classes, creative challenges, and a vibrant membership community called My Art Practice. My work is rooted in curiosity and play, often exploring themes of growth, motherhood, memory, and the everyday beauty of the world around us. Whether I'm painting, collaging, drawing, or documenting my life in a sketchbook, I'm always chasing the magic of process over perfection. For more than a decade, I've been teaching artists of all levels how to make more art, feel less stuck, and stay inspired no matter what life throws their way. This is a space for curious creatives who want to make art a regular part of their life and have fun doing it. Come explore, create, and grow with me. It's one version, but it's literally just stacks who I am, what I offer, what the value add is, why you would want to stick around. And then it adds at the very end that come explore, create, and grow with me is what you might call a call to action, what you want people to do. So join my newsletter. So subscribe to my YouTube channel. So follow me on Instagram. So hit that, like button, whatever it is. These are all things that you can do. Is there anything you would add to this?
No, but as you've gone through it, the word stuck bothers me. I would say blocked.
Interesting. What's the difference to you?
Stuck means you've come up against a dead end. And blocked means you not necessarily facing a dead end, but you don't know where to go. I think it's different.
I think they are. I think word choices can really matter. And it is amazing how often I find myself tweaking a single word, a single thought, the way the sentence is structured, putting this part first and that part second, because it all matters when you're reading it. But it also starts to Frankenstein things a little bit. And then you have to step back and ask a stranger,
Right.
What does this sound like?
I can
Anyway,
be your stranger
you
today.
are my stranger, let me tell you. You're the person. Actually, for years and years and years, whenever I was writing my blog post, I always thought of you because I was like, mom doesn't know anything about these products and she doesn't care. So how can I write this for a
So
person
true.
who doesn't have any interest and doesn't care and doesn't know would be, able to read it. And there you
But
go.
I care about you.
There you go, which is why you're my number one reader who read my blog every day. I hope you have found this framework useful, that you'll use it, who you are, what you offer, why people should stick around. And if you do, I hope you'll share it because I know we would love to see your website, your Instagram bio, whatever it is that you're using it for. If you want to connect, you can find me at juliebalzer.com or all over social media as at Balzer Designs. You can sign up for the free weekly newsletter there. That's the best way to make sure you keep up on the latest news. There's a big button on the homepage of juliebalzer.com where you can do that. You can also find out more about one-on-one coaching there. So before we leave, we're going to have our moment of joy.
Darn
So,
it.
Mom,
I hoped you'd forget.
you thought it's written down on my list, so I can't forget about it. So, what is your moment of joy that you had recently?
Oh God. Um, Maybe it
Hmm.
could be that I went to the door to collect my mail and I had decided to get organized this last Monday. Today is Wednesday. And I made all these calls to get all this stuff sent to me, by the bank, the doctor, everything in the mail. And I opened the door, and there in the mailbox were all these things that people had said, oh, it'll take, a month to 6 weeks to get this stuff there. And it's 3 days later, and it's in my mailbox. So that did give me joy.
So, my moment of joy is that so my husband likes to buy storage lockers and then see if he can basically make back the money he spent on it. And so but it's not like he spends a ton of money. This week he bought a storage locker for $40. So the goal is, can you find $40 worth of stuff in the junk and not end up paying for trash removal? Do you know what I mean? The $40.
And
So the
shipping and all that
and
stuff.
whatever
Yeah.
it is. Well, no, no, no. The shipping, anyway, the way he sells it on eBay and it ends up getting recouped. But so I actually, it's fun. Do you know what I mean? To go through this junk and try to figure out like
Oh,
what's
so you
worth of
encourage it.
something. I don't
The
encourage
surprise
it.
box.
I don't encourage it, but I will say that our son last night, there are these two like plastic totes full of stuff sitting in our dining room, and he went digging through like it was a dress up box. And the next thing I know, he's got like a tiara on his head. He's carrying a purse with a scarf tied around. He's wearing a huge pair of sunglasses, and he announced that he was the king on his way to work with his laptop bag. And I thought it was hilarious, and I loved it, and definitely brought me joy. So
It'll bring
I
me
hope
joy
that
when it's gone. It does give me memories. You have a great grandparent who was, in fact, what they call a rag picker, who would go around and buy things from, I think, probably mostly dead people, and uh, and then sell them to alive people. And that just made me think in my mind, here you are with another rag picker.
at the rag picker. I hope that whoever storage unit this was not dead.
They
So
often are.
let's not say that. Let's not say that. Anyway, if you'd like to help the show, and I know that you would, you can leave a review, you can mention us on social media, you can tell a friend. All of those things help other people find the show. So thanks so much for listening and subscribing. We'll see you the next time on the Adventures in Arting podcast.
Bye.